Hello, everyone. Welcome to GT Time. I'm your moderator, of course, Kyle Bossman, and joining us is a uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Megan Rue.
Hello.
Justin Spear.
Hi.
And Ryan Stevens.
Howdy.
What are you all doing here?
You asked us here.
Yeah.
You always ask questions you know the answer to?
No, yeah, that's how you start a show. You know, the audience wants to know what you're all doing here.
Well, I figured you asked, and I figured I might as well make one last GT appearance.
Yes, yeah, this is what is basically the panel today is, you know, like the last chance on GT Time.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Take that last
But
chance.
first
I guess.
and last. I'm going to take it like that.
Sure.
I'm going to just be fine.
Oh, yeah, Megan, this is your first time on GT Time.
Yes, it is.
And Justin and Ryan have both been here once. Justin won his bet the time he was here. That was pretty cool.
But not when he won it.
Yeah. He didn't get to reap the rewards.
Right. Thank you for having me back.
And I knew Bloodworth's height.
And you did well. You knew it is at least really tall. You knew
I knew it was
Bloodworth
6'6".
Is at least very very
I
tall.
have everyone's stats.
Before we go into the nitty gritty, I have to make a correction. So we must start corrections music. I made
Every
it.
time on that, huh?
Yeah, it's almost every episode now.
No, but at least you're being consistent.
Yep. I made
Consistently wrong?
Yeah, consistently wrong. I made a huge. I actually feel bad about this one.
What was this?
Wolfenstein: The New Order. Wolfenstein: The New Order is
Wolf.
definitely on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. We thought it was next gen only, like a bunch of doofs. All three of us, all four of us, were just idiots. End correction music. So now we can talk about news. Now we can move on. So actually, basically, one of the reasons Justin is here today is because he walked over to my cubicle and he said, "Hey, did you hear about Capcom?" And I was like, "Kinda. What's going on?" He's like, "I kind of want to talk about it." And so yeah, let's talk about it. This week, Capcom was announced that it's open to buyout as the takeover defense proposal goes unapproved, is the headline. Justin, what does that mean?
I guess it means someone might buy Capcom.
Right.
But, yeah. So I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if that's super bad. I've liquidated almost all of my emotional stock in Capcom by this point. And really, my only hope is that they've sunk enough money into developing a Dragon's Dogma sequel that if someone new were to walk in and take over, they'd be hesitant to pull the plug.
It's too late now.
Other than that, I'm almost like, I feel a little bit sad what happened to Capcom. They really have kind of fallen. They're not looking good this year. There's not a lot of good stuff coming. They've been antagonizing their fans for a long time. They seem to, I don't know, they screw up left and right with, like DLC and sequels too soon, canceling things.
Yeah, what do you think
I don't know.
specifically? What did they do wrong?
Resident Evil 6.
But that sold really well. Why would you say that's like
It
a
didn't
thing?
sell as well as it should, just like
I
Tomb
see.
Raider didn't sell as well as it
Yeah,
should.
the development.
And
development
you look at
cost,
games like,
huge.
what was it, Operation Raccoon City?
Right.
It sold really well as well, but, people hate it, and that stuff still tarnishes the brand. There's all this production money. Games just cost a ton to make these days. You guys were all at E3. Capcom's booth. There wasn't much going on.
I think it was only Ultra Street Fighter, correct?
Maybe a little Monster
The
Hunter.
DLC
Sure.
was essentially the headliner for the booth. They're like, look, DLC.
Oh yeah.
It is kind of cool looking DLC if you're a fan of classic Capcom stuff.
Oh, you're referring to the Dead Rising DLC.
Yeah, the Dead Rising
yeah.
DLC. That was kind of their big thing. They had the trailer for it, but
But the thing
That's
about that
not
was
available today.
even people loving the backlog for that and loving the game were just like, like, oh great, new skins. But how long? Think of how much time passed. Like that's the biggest problem with DLCs. You get the season pass, but then 6 months go by before you get something. Like the game has already left the console. Like.
Well, Capcom's best showing at E3 was probably having Mega Man in Smash Brothers, right?
That's a super funny. Excellent. It's true. That is a completely true.
And
thing.
that was from last year.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous if you think about it.
But even like the biggest moment I think from the Smash Bros. Tournament was when his super attack, what do they call him, the Final Smash came out, and all the Mega Mans joined Mega Man to do a
Right.
thing. That was the biggest.
all the
uproar.
Mega Man's Capcom couldn't care less about.
It's so
They're
sad.
like, there's some more games we could cancel.
Yeah. And that was, you're right, Ryan. That's the biggest moment for Capcom at E3 was not even. their
They
own.
got time in the Microsoft press conference with the Dead Rising thing, but that
Right.
seemed so anticlimactic. That
Right.
and the PlayStation one, Entwined, both of those, and it's available today. It had no gravitas. It was like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought those were both really weird missteps for E3.
Available today, I think, is a strong thing, but you're right. It needs to be a good thing for it to be exciting.
It
For
needs
it
to
to
be
available
backed up
today.
by something.
But it was
Right.
also more like I walked away more aware of the DLC title and how much of a ripple that made at E3 than the fact that it was just Capcom. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, everything they've done, if people are talking about it, they're not talking about Capcom. They're just talking about, like, this weird side thing they heard about. Like, the name, they're not always synonymous with whatever they're putting out.
To kind of circle back to the original, the headline that's a little Bloomberg 2.0-y. I mean, this is they're open to a hostile takeover, basically.
Yes.
People can buy stock. I mean, that's a term you don't really hear all that much, but if you grew up watching 80s television, I think everything was about hostile takeovers.
Yeah, they said they would still take the necessary means that they were available to. So yeah, but I guess that opens it up for. And honestly, if someone were to buy it, I
It
don't
could be
think
bad,
it could.
though.
I don't think it could be that bad. Capcom is
They
already
could just
kind
make
of bad.
pachinko machines. Like, that's happened.
Well, it's like that or mobile Breath of Fire. What's the difference?
But at the same time, if they're opening themselves up to be sold, like, how does that make everyone who's there feel? Because
think they still
didn't
have
that article
talent.
end with, like, someone was automatically leaving? Like, someone was resigning?
I think that's
as a
unrelated,
result?
and they kind of tacked Ono leaving Capcom Vancouver on in the end, even though I don't think it's directly related.
Oh, yeah. He made it very clear. He's still at Capcom. He still
Yeah.
has his position at Capcom. He's just done with the Vancouver team.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is weird they hop on top of each other, those two things.
Well, I mean, what Mighty Number 9, is that what that's called?
yes.
I mean, that's doing really well, so maybe, who knows, maybe there would be an exodus and all this Japanese talent would go over to the Kickstarter market. Who knows?
A lot of people have left Capcom. I still think
Treasure came from-
they still have some
no,
good
Treasure
guys
came
there.
from Konami,
They still
right?
have some talented people there. Dragon's Dogma sequel is what
Platinum-
needs to
Platinum
happen.
came.
So, like, it's too late for that.
All right.
I forgot to set my timer.
Oops.
I'm kind of keeping track internally.
Right.
The one thing I wanted to talk
God
about
help us all.
with Capcom before we move on is Deep Down. I think it's like the biggest game we know of that they still have that's in development.
Playable at TGS.
The biggest free-to-play game that we know about.
Yeah, it's
And
also the
not
biggest
here at all.
free-to-play game. What? Sorry,
Not here at E3 at all.
They
Yeah,
had a
weird.
They had a
There's-
trailer, yeah, but no, the game was not there.
is it going to come out this year
This is going to come out in the States.
at all? You mean?
Yeah.
I
Why
guess
would
there's
it not?
Not an announcement.
Because they're not... Other than the PlayStation 4 debut, there's been no... None of those trailers are coming from the Japanese... Or none of those are coming from the Capcom US office.
Right.
I don't think it's on the US radar.
Do they think we don't want it? What do you think that means?
It'll probably at least mean that it'll be released elsewhere first, and then they're
It
going
could.
to have to
I mean,
spend time
it could
porting
come over. It's just not. I mean, that's not gonna.
It's not their priority.
That's not gonna have a huge impact if they release. Deep down, maybe they'll eventually do it, but it's not gonna, change their business or change anyone's mind about Capcom.
Capcom's
I
doing
think
it.
it's been made for the Japanese market. I mean, the Japanese have had a long... They've been used to getting nickeled and dimed way before free-to-play ever happened. You look... No, I'm not joking. You look at, like, Phantasy Star Online and those Hunter licenses. Those continued way over in Japan, way past in how long they were here in the States.
Specifically, what does that mean?
Monthly
Hunter-
fees and
I
stuff
see.
like that, and the idea of, like, paying for stuff. Maybe I'm overstepping my bounds a little bit, but I think it's definitely being made for a particular market. I think they had that great trailer, and when Sony debuted the PlayStation 4 for the world to see, that
Oh,
was
man,
a
that
world
trailer.
stage.
Yeah.
I think it made sense at that point, but it's a long game, and you can kind of withdraw or deposit things as you need as the markets change.
And actually, I just realized, I think within Capcom, I think it's their online games team that's making that game. The team that's normally making the mobile games and yeah, so you're right. It might be hard for that to make it to the U.S. Jeez Louise, guys.
I feel like it might. I used to love Capcom so much, though. I used to remember the little fan club, the Capcom Unity thing. I would buy like almost whatever Capcom would put out.
What would you buy?
Like a puzzle game called One Piece Mansion, and it's try to move compatible tenants in next to each other. Like I bought that. I'm like, Capcom, you're so great. I'll give you money. Please keep making, please keep
yeah.
releasing
That was
new
like
fighting
$10
games, new stuff. Because they always, they'd always taken chances to release different things or cool stuff or stuff that fans liked, along with some other stuff to maybe like they would take risks, and that
Yeah.
Capcom is pretty much gone.
Shoot, do you remember, I guess it was like the year Street Fighter 4 came out. I felt like Capcom was like back, baby.
I wish, yeah. It did feel like that.
Yeah.
Fighting games kind of were back.
Oh,
They definitely deserve some credit for that.
Oh, totally.
Right.
And every E3, it was like, when is Capcom going to drop their trailers? Because they would drop a ton.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's been... Oh, we were talking about Resident Evil 6. Also, Devil May Cry did not sell anywhere near where I think they were hoping. Or DMC, the reboot. So, money.
They fucked it up. It was
I think,
a great company.
honestly, I think it's a fair analysis. Moving on to more F-ups. Reggie Fils-Aimé this week, or at E3, was talking about Twitch and why the Wii U doesn't have Twitch integration. And his direct quote, which we used as our headline, "No Twitch streaming for Wii U because watching people play isn't fun." Megan, do you believe this?
Yeah. I agree with Redry. I read that article. I'm serious. I agree with Redry because guess what? I understand, like, look, Xbox One, PS4, the share button, great. But there's already so much crap on the internet that I agree with this. Like, he goes on further to say, like, why do I want to watch Joe Blow play for 30 minutes? Whereas what they have in Mario Kart is we upload the highlights. And you can choose those highlights. So you're already still uploading stuff, but they're just making it, like, he was specifying how we're making it so that the content that you are putting up is content that's actually helpful to people. It's showing them how to play the game. It's showing them track info. It's showing them, like, it's cutting out the BS and just making it so that all you're sending out for Nintendo is purely helpful or entertaining stuff to watch, which honestly, like, I would appreciate if there was a filter of everyone else for the Twitch and the Xbox and everything like that, where it's just like, your stuff's...
We can, like, click the highlights button?
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
Like, I mean,
can see
I
that.
know when you're playing, say, like, Titanfall, and you... like Aaron Paul, Xbox, record that. Like, you're making what you think is a highlight, and then you can make something out of it and put it up. And that's great. That's fine. But most of the people are just using the PlayStation Eye and everything and just streaming from their living room, eating popcorn, and having, Chatlerette 2.0.
Yeah,
So,
the signal to noise is definitely ridiculous, but it's funny because the Xbox One is actually trying to predetermine when those moments are happening based on score or plot points,
Right.
and it captures those specific moments, and it'll do that. Like that, and it will do blink. It captured that special thing.
Right.
PlayStation is putting it all of it on you, and they did make a I can't remember what it's called, but they have their new editing suite.
Right.
Share Nation or something. It's pretty decent.
Yeah,
that'll be
I
next
tried
week's
it.
correction.
Share Factory.
Share
thank
Factory.
you.
Factory.
Thank you, Michael Huber.
And that's pretty decent. I mean, that's putting more power on. The thing is, when all the highlight reels are all the highlight reels, and I think Reggie's and what is a little bit of crap when everyone's uploading the same highlight reels.
Right.
It's all gray goo.
But I think it's, for the sake of Nintendo, I mean, if I remember nothing else of the Wii generation, it was everyone complaining about Wii's online functionality. And, like, I just feel like they're barely even focusing on giving us...
But you're right. You think about friend codes, right?
Yeah.
And this is what Reggie really wanted to say. We don't want people showing their penises using their Wii U.
Well, because it is...
It's already called the Wii. That's what they really want.
But it's also like the kitty, well, it's not the kitty console, but it is the more family-friendly console in the consumer eye, the general consumer eye, as opposed to the other two consoles.
I think they're making a misstep not embracing Twitch, because you probably should, because what else is there going to be? And then...
But why is there such this push for everyone to be able to put everything they feel is cool online? Like, there's so much already. Like, why is that such a deal? Why is that such a deal? I guess I don't get it. Like,
accessibility. I mean, I don't do it, but...
Let me put it this way. I understand that when Zelda comes out on the Wii U, everyone's going to want to share cool moments that they found. And I understand it's going to suck because Wii has always been... The Nintendo has always been, like, on lockdown in terms of capture. Literally in the back, on lockdown. So, I get it. I get people are going to want to share those moments,
funny.
but I guess I don't know. I've just never expected Nintendo to actually make that leap, so it doesn't surprise me that they're not making that leap.
I guess what bums me out is they had this huge tournament, this huge Smash Bros. Tournament on Twitch, and it seems like he stepped away with the wrong lesson. In that interview, he says, I think which was with Polygon, he says, people were watching the Smash Bros. Tournament, and the thing that consumers got out of it was tips. Now they know how to play the game better. They know which moves to use. And, like, that's not why
No.
people are
Yeah.
watching.
Maybe it's hype.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
hype. It is exactly that. It's they were having fun watching
Right.
people play the game,
Right.
Reggie. Like, they didn't watching for tips, and so it's a bummer to me for them to be so successful on Twitch over that whole week, and then to not get why it worked. Do you know?
Well, okay. I mean, I get
Could
that.
just be some spin. They have to. It's Reggie's job.
It's probably Reggie.
He didn't want to say
Right.
penises. That's like, you don't want to say it.
But outside of Smash Brothers, what other game that is currently out on the Wii U would you actually, like, you would see a Twitch stream
Pushmo.
of random people you don't know, and you'd be like, I'm going to watch that, versus you just playing it yourself?
So I think that you don't like watching random people you don't know on Twitch. I think Twitch is about watching this person you do know and, like, enjoying watching that person play.
Right, but, I know that most people who have wanted to create themselves as a personality and have wanted to be playing games, they've found other means of doing it. They don't need the share button on
You're
the
going
console.
too far. There's a lot of people that just want to stream for 3 people. There's tons of people streaming for like their buddies and stuff like that. You know, it's just a way of communication. Not everyone's trying to make money or make a name. I think some people are just exhibitionists in tiny, tiny degrees. I would say the big streaming news that I thought was bizarre is Sony's people can now talk back to you.
Well, didn't they mention that when they announced the console? It's just not implemented
At
yet?
the press conference.
Yeah, I didn't see this. How did that work?
They didn't really go into detail, but I mean, that just
okay.
sounds like an awful
You suck.
the vitriol.
Thanks.
Cool moves.
Where are the tips?
What if they're all right? Where are the tips? Yeah, I came here for tips.
My parents, did you ever see, Santa, you probably saw Legend with Tim Curry and Tom Cruise. My parents rented that movie for me when I was a little kid, and they're like, yo, there's tips for Legend of Zelda in here. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Okay.
There were no tips.
What actually was in the movie?
Hit things
Unicorns
with your
and Tom Cruise and Tim Curry.
Oh, were they joking because the name was Legend?
I think they were just trying to entice me.
Sure.
with lies. Yeah, parents
Yeah.
do that sometimes.
So we got a lot of mileage out of those two news stories. So I want to, before you go, I want to ask each of you what your favorite thing that you got to play at E3 was.
Not first. I gotta think about.
Okay,
this.
Megan is not first. So Ryan, what was your favorite thing you
Play,
got to
not watch.
Yep, you got to play this thing.
I didn't actually play anything at E3 proper, but at
No.
Judges Week, I did get to play Evolve, and everyone except for Hoffman, Jeremy was there. It was everyone's first time, so it was a little clunky. But I think that game has so much potential, and I saw a lot of people walk away from the show floor being really, really impressed. And I think that game. It's a multiplayer game, and it has some intricacies, so once, you're going to have to let the dust settle, but I think that's the Wild West days when the servers first opened, the first 2 weeks, I think that game is going to be pretty amazing, and I'm totally on board.
Yeah, I think it had a really good E3. I think, like you're saying, a lot of people did come away from it positively.
It
It
was
was
a
really
hands-on
Tournament. Yeah,
it
they
was
had a
the it was
tournament
the
going
biggest
as well.
crowd
Oh,
for
cool.
sure. Like there was a bigger audience just watching than it were people just standing in line to play it.
They had the coolest statue.
Yeah, giant monster.
That was a great statue. Wait, so how do you win the Evolve tournament? Is it like the monster wins?
I'm not totally sure, but I know that they were running it. They had some known net personality people and some games people. So it seemed like a good time.
Oh yeah, because they were like live announcing it the whole time,
Right.
which I actually think is a really good way to demonstrate your game. Is to have people like who are familiar with it already saying, "Oh, and this is happening. He's in
Were they
trouble
streaming
now."
it?
I don't know. I know.
Tips?
Tips. Stop it.
Wii U version?
Justin, what's your favorite thing you got to play?
I did play Evolve, which is pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I played Rainbow Six Siege, which is, I think, super cool. But the most fun I had was playing Splatoon
Whoa,
with Nick
cool.
and Mike
okay.
Huber. Really, really fun game. It was really good. I waited in line for 45 minutes. I played it, and I almost wanted to get back in line to play 2 more matches. It just seems really rich in terms of mechanics and what you can do. The basic turf war concept is really fun. You try to cover the floors. You kill people. You keep them from covering it. Even the gyro controls. I had fun with the gyro controls. And it's on Wii U. Isn't that weird?
That's so weird. Would you buy a Wii U for this game?
Man, I don't know. Maybe I'll see what's happening. When that game approaches release.
Which is
But yeah, it was really
2015.
fun.
Yeah.
It was really, and it is online. I guess you need the gamepad to play it because I have map functionality and like warping on that thing. So it's weird to think that a Wii U game where just one player per system and playing online. But yeah, I'm really interested in it.
Do you
I
think
had
it's
a
more
ton of
weird
fun.
the fact that it's a non Mario or Zelda game that's making you finally consider a Wii?
Well,
Wii U.
the
That is
Zelda
really
Zelda
interesting,
did
actually, yeah.
Zelda looked really good
Yeah.
as well, right? I'm like super interested in
Right,
that.
but that's just like, they
they
announced
said it
the
was
Halo
gameplay.
collection, and it's like, well, that's going to sell some
Time to
units.
get an Xbox One.
Right, so
Right,
it's
the
just
precedent.
like,
Yeah.
you see the Zelda, and you're like, well, that's going to sell some Wii U units. So to have
But
you
for
be
Justin, it's
like
Right.
thinking about
yeah.
it, Splatoon, that's
Right.
impressive.
I mean, it maybe wouldn't sell me the system by itself, but definitely add some weight because it's just really fun concept. I encourage everyone to keep an eye on that. Really interesting, fun game.
Great pick. Megan, what was your favorite thing you got to play?
Valiant Hearts.
Whoa, cool. You guys had interesting choices.
Has a
Yeah,
dog in
well,
it.
I also didn't get to play that much on the floor. I played a lot of Destiny. after E3, which is my second choice.
Didn't you play Alien Isolation with the Oculus Rift?
I did for about 5 minutes, and I got very motion sick. I'm one of those
Not a
people
highlight.
that did not.
That sounds rad.
Did it kill you? Did
I
you see the tail go through your body in first person?
the minute the alien tackled me, I was ready to throw up anyway, so I just ripped the headset off and just because it was I couldn't adjust to it, and then of all things, it was Alien. Of all the games they had in their little booth, it was Alien Isolation. I don't really play suspense games, so it was just I was like, this is not my happy place.
It sounds like you're traumatized by.
I
that
was
immersive
definitely nauseous
experience.
for the rest of the day. I mean, the
Jeez.
game looked great and the system looked great, but that's no. What I really liked was Valiant Hearts, and I got to meet one of the developers who's on the floor. It was very sweet, and it's just like this. Yes, it's gonna tug all the heartstrings, and it's probably gonna make you really upset at one point or another. But they have a really great balance between puzzle and not exploration. I don't know how to explain it. It's just one of those really great games where you're not penalized for not getting it right away, but nothing is so difficult that you're frustrated. You actually, every time you try something and it doesn't work, it basically leads you to figuring out what you need to do. And it's just, it's very smooth, and like the dog is, you don't play as the dog, but you can control the dog, and I don't know. I just really enjoyed it, and the art style was beautiful, and it wasn't what I was expecting. So
even in a few minutes, you got something emotional from the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. In a demo, that is impressive, actually.
Yeah, it was a
E3
really
demo.
impressive demo, and I'm definitely looking forward to playing it, honestly, when it comes out next week, because it's one of those breath of fresh air type games. Like,
Yeah.
not everyone was really sold on Journey based off of what they may have heard, but then everyone sat down and played it, and they're 4 or 5 hours, and just it was that breath of fresh air compared to all the AAA titles, and that's what I feel like Valiant Hearts is going to be for a lot of people.
Good summer game. All right, you three, thanks for joining us.
Wait a minute, what was yours?
Oh wow, I did not come prepared for that. Oh, it's Smash Bros. Though. It's like sadly, and I was like aware of it. I'm like, oh, I'm having more fun playing this. It's sucky. It's, you know what I mean. It's like, what's your favorite band, dude? It's like, the Beatles. It's like, yeah, of course. All right,
Nickelback.
nice, dude. Thanks for joining us. Last time on GT Time. That bums me out.
Never say never.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can always come you can invite us to come by.
Then
Cameos,
okay,
Maybe.
absolutely.
maybe, depending.
Tips backwards is pits.
No, it's not. Tip backwards is pit, and then you just put
Oh,
an S on
spit.
it. It's spit.
Almost.
Tips
It's
backwards
spit.
is spit.
Oh.
And welcome back, everybody. We are now joined with the uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel of Brandon Jones.
You've never said that about anyone else, have you?
Actually, I said that about 3 other people 20 minutes ago.
I see.
Well, I guess I'm here.
I
Yeah.
see your lies.
Daniel Bloodworth
Hey,
and Michael Damiani.
my notebook has
You
made
are-
an appearance
you
too.
are a liar.
What did I
You're a
lie about?
scoundrel.
You're all uniquely talented and knowledgeable.
The
world-
more you
those
say
words
that,
don't hold the same
Yeah, the more you
gravitas
say,
before.
the more normal we really are.
So, if you are watching this, you might be wondering why Daniel Bloodworth is wearing a bow tie.
Yeah. Why?
Can you explain to us, Daniel Bloodworth, why you're wearing a bow tie today?
Well, number one, it's because of Anton Enhance.
That is Anton's bow tie. It's true.
I have been enhanced by Anton. I lost. Apparently, it was our first ever side bet
Yeah.
in which I claimed that Uncharted would be out the beginning of October, and you called me on that.
Yeah. And so now you're wearing a bow tie. However, I have to announce a side bet that I lost on the show. I bet Bloodworth that there was no way that the NFC figures would be in any way involved with Smash Bros. For the Wii U. And they are, in fact, heavily involved with the Smash Brothers.
It's the most concrete example we have.
Yes.
We didn't see some special amiibo game come out of that.
No, not at all. That's why I'm mad about it still. Anyway, so for the first week that we have Smash Brothers for Wii U, I will be playing with the worst control scheme, which we assume is sideways Wii Remote if they allow us to do that.
Yeah.
3DS.
Oh, what if they won't do
No.
that?
The 3DS at least has a slide pad.
Yeah.
That's better than the cross.
You're right, that is.
cross
That's
pad.
even better than a little Wii Remote. Man, so that is what I'll be doing that first week. All right, bets are settled. So with everyone here, I wanted to kind of recap what you think personally, biggest news that came out of E3. What is or was, what shook the world out of last week?
Oh, man.
It looks like you're prepared. It looks like you have
I've
something.
prepared, but I don't actually know the answer to that question. Because it wasn't like, this wasn't the announcement E3, right? Like, if you look at, like, I'm looking at things that were actually announced. Like, GTA 5 on PS4 was announced.
That's
and that
what's-
was cool. And
yeah.
the fact that, like, hey, guys, you can transfer your 360 save over, that's pretty crazy announcement, but not world shaking. The PlayStation TV coming to the US, not something I would have predicted, considering it didn't seem to do very well in Japan, but also not something that I think most people even remembered after the press conference.
I totally forgot until this moment. That's very true. Yeah.
Splatoon may have been the biggest thing.
Biggest game announcement, do you think?
Like in terms of like, yeah, number one, like it came out of nowhere, and then number two, like everybody really liked it.
Yeah. Including Justin Spear. He said that was his favorite game he played at E3.
Yeah, and like Bloodborne, we had a name, but in general, we got what we had already seen leaked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, announcements are weird. The Destiny alpha? Oh.
Brandon, are you shrugging your shoulders too at the news from E3?
Yeah, there was no big thing. I mean, Rainbow Six was probably the biggest single "oh my god" announcement.
Sure.
Them
Right.
coming on stage and announcing something, because it was the complete package. It was like it was an IP everybody was familiar with that we really longed for. It had that Last Guardian. What's another huge, Beyond Good and Evil? Like, oh my God, is it going to be there? This franchise was, is apparently dead. There was another game tied to it. The game we got was clearly not that at all. It was awesome. It was playable. Like, it's everything you would want out of a new game announcement.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
it
hard-
felt, like it's not the same Rainbow Six, but it still felt very Rainbow Six. It's not like they just turned the franchise on its ear. So
yeah, it's like to have to not see Kingdom Hearts 3 and have Siege announce itself and be playable just kind of like tips the scale in weird ways. What I learned from this E3 is that you can make an announcement. You can have Nomura like come out on stage and just be like, "Still working on it, guys. Thanks." But to not do anything. It's like we haven't learned really anything else other than Battlefront. But they were there. They showed like, here's a rock from Hoth. Okay, can we get back to work now? Like, they showed they were clearly like working on something. Like, even though no Mass Effect game was announced, like BioWare like got in front of the camera and said, "Hey, you excited for next gen? We are too. We're glad you own these consoles. Some good stuff's coming." And just so many weird, developers just being like total vanish. Just like, no, we'll see you at some time later. It's like, this is the stage. This is the time.
So you prefer that kind of, here's a sneak peek at some of the stuff we're working on right now.
Even just an announcement, even just
Yeah.
like what the Square Enix did at the PS4 reveal, where they showed the Agnes philosophy for the
Right,
100th
again.
time, and then said tune into E3. E3 actually turned out to be pretty cool. So like even coming out on that stage and saying, okay, here's when the announcement's going to be. Even doing something like Quantum Break did, where it was like, we just can't be there, but we're going to say why, and we're going to tell you when you can expect something.
yeah, I feel like the EA was kind of a mixed thing because, I understand that like a lot of these projects aren't ready. So I feel like they should have done their press conference differently somehow. Like, I don't know if like the Nintendo digital event format would have been better. If
Oh,
a
it probably would
shorter
have.
press conference would have been better. I don't know, but it was really weird to waste so much live time with pre-recorded dev diaries anyways.
Damiani, you shook your head at the word Square Enix.
Yeah. Why?
Were
Is
you-
this a shock?
Did you want bigger news out of E3 than what we were left with today?
Yeah. I mean, that goes without saying, honestly, I feel.
That doesn't go without saying. Please elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone kind of, at least most people, had the expectation that Final Fantasy 15 would be there in some form, even if it wouldn't be playable. We're getting a new trailer. Like, they have to show off something.
Yeah.
And when all the press conferences went by, like, all right, maybe Square Enix is gonna have, they had their Square Enix Presents. Maybe they're gonna have something for that, and it's like, but before even that happened, like that day, like that weekly Famitsu came out and said, or I don't know if it was weekly or just the Famitsu magazine, it just said, yeah, it's not going to be there. They had an interview with the president of Square Enix. They're like, yeah, it's not going to be there. We're sorry. Like, now's not the right time to like talk about it again, to show off anything.
No, it's not.
And
the
we were
right
like,
time.
Yeah.
yeah.
I was like, are we really doing this again?
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
just
well,
last
that's why I
year?
think that
Oh,
the
man.
contrast between that project and The Last Guardian is interesting because I feel like Sony knows that they should not bring Last Guardian back until it's like on a track and on a schedule that they know, like, okay, we're going to be able to reach completion of this game and we'll be able to promote it consistently. Whereas this is like, it went in hiding forever.
Yep.
And then it came back and then went back in hiding. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that to us. Don't just like
It went
tease
back
us
into
with
hiding.
that.
It definitely did.
So depressing.
Any
They-
big
they-
announcements for you? What
let's
did
see.
you get wowed by?
What's the big story? You're the headline
Conquer
writer.
and Project Spark.
Nintendo's white PS4.
Yeah,
Nintendo's
that was
PlayStation.
pretty big news.
Yeah.
Nintendo is making a PlayStation.
Yeah. So like,
No, honestly,
yeah.
sorry, it was Zelda.
Yeah,
Zelda Wii U.
Zelda was.
I know not
nice to
everyone was
see.
like, everyone knew that was coming. It was just what it was going to look like. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's the biggest point for a Zelda game, and it's like from announcement to when it comes out is usually like the first moment, your first impression, and that was such an important moment. And showing it the way they did, I feel like that was way better than a lot of the reveals they've done in the past, which was, here's a piece of artwork.
Bad
Wait
reveal.
till next year. You know,
Brandon
it's-
hates those. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Well,
that's the crap.
Another
yeah.
good example, just kind of like Star Wars, even though that was frustrating to watch at a press conference, it was something. It was them being like, we acknowledge this exists. Here are people that are working on it. Can't really have anything to show you, but we can kind of give you an idea. Like you feel you're at a meeting, you feel like hanging out with the developers,
Sure.
and they're like, now you're included. Now you know what's going on. And at the very least, here's when you can hear about the next thing. Here's what you have to look forward to. So you're not just like
the
bitching
thing
and
that I
screaming.
thought was interesting is contrasting the dev diaries that EA did to the things that Nintendo did. Is I felt like EA's dev diaries were all sort of vague. Like I didn't feel like I really learned much about those projects. It's just like this weird like ephemeral talk or whatever. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was just like gassy and nebulous.
Sure.
Whereas when Nintendo's guys got on there, like you sort of felt like a connection with these guys and like, hey, this is the kind of game we want to make, and this is what we think like actually defines Yoshi and separates him from how a Mario game works.
Yeah.
And like you really got like some insight into their design process. Whereas with these other things, it's like, well, here's some concept art, and we love Mass Effect.
I remember like rolling that footage in our live coverage,
Yeah.
and Jeremy Hoffman, our producer, just being like, "What is this?" I'm like, "This is Mass Effect." He's like, "This is garbage. Get this off the screen," because
Yeah.
it had no value to bring up later. It was literally just the guys like their heads with the black background, being like, "We like Mass Effect," and it's
Well,
like, "This is
I think they showed
this isn't news."
some environmental shots, right?
They
Yeah.
did. And
And-
they showed like Krogan, but
Yeah, and
not-
just a
not much.
Krogan standing still, waiting for someone to come up and talk to him. Yeah, that was really strange. And like that was the first we've seen of the new Mass Effect, and I don't think it had a big impact.
Yeah,
No,
we don't
it
know what it's
didn't.
called. With Battlefront, at least it's called Battlefront, but
Yeah.
this could be like Gears of War Judgment. It could be just a weird offshoot. Who
What?
knows?
Oh, the
The
Mass
next
Effect
Mass
game.
Effect, yeah.
I think that the next Mass Effect game is going to be a huge thing. I think it's going to be.
yeah, but it should have come out as a huge thing, not like here's some stuff.
So, if I get this right, Bloodworth, you're against it. Brandon, you like what BioWare did.
I like what BioWare did as opposed to nothing.
Yeah. Blood
as
would've-
opposed to
But
EA
they
having
but they
nothing
had
to say.
Dragon Age there, right? Like they didn't
Right.
have to start teasing these other projects yet. Like there's no real reason. Everyone knows already that they're working on Mass Effect, so just getting like this glimpse of something that might not look like the actual game. I don't know. It's weird to me.
You would have preferred nothing.
I think I would have preferred for them to blow it out when it's ready.
Damiani, what's your stance? Were you entertained during the EA press conference at any point?
It was just whenever they went up to a new subject, whenever like as you said, like I think you told me like earlier, like maybe last week, like the hearing like the Star Wars music start off. I was like, here we go, like this is
I
gonna be
was so
legit.
hyped. Yeah.
They like it was just like that feeling of being so excited first, and then like, oh, they're just telling us it's in development. All right, I'm seeing something, but man, like, do I have to wait till next year to actually see this thing? It was just way too unbalanced, I think, and I feel like in some points, either they should have just done a short teaser and then have the guy like, yeah, the team's hard at work on this, we're excited to share more with you in like the future, and that's it, and move on. I mean, the dev diaries, I felt like maybe someone in their team is like, no, people like to see like the inner workings of stuff, like actually see physical people working on this, so no, we're not like bullshitting them. Let's like give them a glimpse at that. And I think that might not have gone over so well at an E3. Like, that's not what people, I think, want to see at E3. But maybe at a later point, like a dev diary that reassures people it's still being developed. I think that wasn't the right platform to show that off, I feel.
I think actually that's a really important distinction. Is E3? I think we have a lot of expectations for, and yeah, don't just show us like a stormtrooper's head spinning around at E3. Brandon, I'm against it too.
Okay, sure. But if you take that announcement out of EA's press conference,
What do they have?
Then what do they have?
Yeah, you're right. If you took those out, if you took out Mirror's Edge, if you took out Criterion's thing, they're not left with a lot.
Right.
Which is, you're right, they're probably just, we need something.
Yeah.
We got to put something in the show, is probably what happened
too.
there. Next, we got to talk about big news for GameTrailers.com.
Yeah. You wanted to lead this, or who wants to lead this?
I think this is like all of us, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Big news happened.
Damiani
Yeah.
wanted to lead it, though. Go ahead. Explain what happened.
I'm kind of surprised that you thought I wanted to lead it. I think I just said we should probably address it on here
Yeah.
since, like, you know.
Nope, we've
people
all decided
are-
you're leading it. What do you
It's
have
like
to say?
it's
Oh, so
like
I'm
weird
leading it,
news we're
okay.
all uncomfortable about, So I'm
Right.
like,
So
pinning
you're
it on
passing
you.
the
Yeah, we're
buck to
passing
me.
it off to you. yeah.
Okay. So I think we could say at this point that no, like we had layoffs here at GT, and unfortunately, not everyone is going to be coming with us, which really sucks. But at the same time, we're also not being like shut down or being able to continue.
Yeah.
And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like at least all of us, we are going to be joining that new GT.
Yeah.
I'm still working my stuff out.
Okay,
Okay.
so sorry about
But
that.
I'm
Like,
talking with them. I mean, I'm
yes,
just talking to Defy all
there's
day
a
today,
chance
so.
that all like everyone you see here might be coming over. At least 3 of us right now are definitely going over. And then there are other people here, like Huber's working the camera back there. He's going to be coming over as well. So there are certain core people who are coming over, and we would like to keep doing what we do. And it sounds like we're going to have a chance to at least keep doing what we do to a certain extent with some of our key shows like GT Time. Like we'd like to keep that happening. Stuff like Pop Fiction, we're going to keep trying to make that happen. And then
What is Pop Fiction? I don't know.
Oh yeah, that's I don't have time
That was
to
actually
explain
how
what
his
that
promo
is.
started. What is Pop Fiction?
Oh yeah, whatever. That was fun. I mean, you will get like over the next like few weeks. You're gonna get like everyone's gonna get updates, like the public. You get updates about like what shows are gonna be happening, when they're gonna be happening again. It's just right now we're in a little bit of like a transitional period. It's kind of like weird right now. We're not sure we're gonna end up like physically and what stuff we're gonna have
and to be
access
clear,
to.
like,
yeah,
this isn't like
Yeah.
this isn't like somebody just like flipped a switch, right? Like
yeah.
everybody that got laid off is still hanging around right now. We're
Right.
actually still collaborating with them, still working on
Yes.
reviews and shows, and and then they're gonna have a chance, to wrap things up before they move on, and then for us, we are just now like starting to figure out like what to tell them in terms of everything that we need over there before you can even move into their buildings. So it's going to be kind of a long process, and we're going to try to keep up as much of our normal programming as we can.
Yeah, so we get to say what all those people at the press conferences say, like, please understand.
Please understand.
Please understand. And please but honestly, like, have some patience with us. Like,
Yeah.
we got to figure some things out. But
And honestly, like in the long term, I think that we all do see like the potential for things to be better and to get better with the site. It's just like right now we're just all kind of miserable
Right.
because of what's
Yeah.
happened.
All right, enough misery talk.
Wait, I want to talk.
Yeah, let's
Brandon,
talk.
Brandon has to say some
Okay,
stuff.
okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
Well, I guess to you guys, not everything is bad. It's like there's not information hasn't come out, and that just means we have to figure everything out. And that doesn't mean that's Defy's fault or Viacom's fault or Game Trailer's fault.
Yeah.
It's very weird what we do. There's no like structure. It's not. We're not Game Trailers is not one of those entities that you can purchase and figure everything out. Like it's all of us do a lot of different weird jobs. All of us have taken on shows just because we felt like it. And so we kind of have done things our own way. So moving into a completely different environment, it's very difficult to figure out, okay, who does what, who needs what, do we have it, can we get it, and there's just billions of different things to go through before we figure everything out. So it's not like, oh, we got to do all this bad stuff. It's just work. It's just going to take time.
Yeah.
It's just meetings and going over there. But they're all great. Everybody's great. Everybody involved is really nice.
Yeah.
Which makes it more difficult, strangely, because everybody's so nice. So
I don't
it's
know.
someone to be the villain.
yeah.
And we can't promise anything, but like there could be hope. Like everyone always complains about our video player. That might be able to change.
Well, yeah, it's a total
We'll
restructuring
probably
of
be able to
everything,
be on
so.
YouTube, like really. So there's a lot of potential there,
Yeah.
and I hope at the end, like everyone who still comes to GT and to new people who discover GT, they'll actually see that like this is what they've been missing out on, and like the stuff that you like actually love to watch will still be there. You'll actually be able to watch it and enjoy it instead of being fighting against our like site and our video player. Hopefully, the stuff that we've been frustrated with personally for the last few years that will go away and allow us to do what we want to do.
Kyle, are you going to make the move over to Defy?
Oh, absolutely.
That's
yeah.
all people want to know. Moving on. That's
Oh
it.
yeah,
Done.
I've made that public plenty of times.
Question answered.
Okay,
That's it.
fine.
All people care about.
They care about everyone. They care about everyone who works here. Let's do a bet. Let's do a closing bet.
Oh joy!
Gulp.
We got a big one. Megan's favorite game that she played at E3 was Valiant Hearts, actually.
Cool. I didn't play that.
And it comes out next week. So here's what I'm going to do. Next week, before the recording of this show, I'm going to GameRankings.com. I'm going to look at the top 10 most recent reviews for Valiant Hearts.
Professional reviews or user reviews?
Professional reviews.
Okay,
Okay.
that what matters.
Amongst those 10 reviews, how many times will I see the word cry?
So how many times within the reviews, like not just how many reviews use the word cry, right? Like they
Right.
could use it multiple times.
They could say
Yes.
cry multiple
Okay.
times.
Also, are we talking CRY or will we accept crying, cries, cried?
Ooh.
Any form.
We will accept all forms of cry.
All forms
Ooh,
of cry.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I going first?
Sure, go first.
0.
0 cries. Why would you say 0? I'm actually really curious about that.
Because it's too cliche of a term to use to describe that game.
So do you think they'll say like tears and
Sadness,
like emotions?
emotional,
Yeah.
emotionally like challenge. I don't know, something with emotions. Emotion will be said a lot.
Sure. Bloodworth.
I'm gonna go with 6.
6 cries. So you went heavy on the cries. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about 10 reviews from when you see it. I mean, they might not even be big sites. You know, we'll see.
Sure.
And it's
Most of them aren't huge sites.
and it's
yeah, but
and
like
it's
if you go by
a you know
recent-
it's a war game and it's meant to do that. So
Okay. Brandon.
1.
1 cry.
Damiani is out of luck. He has to nail it.
Yeah, that's true. You have to get 0 now.
He's still going to win, damn it.
There's no negative on that.
I'm
You
doing
know
roulette right here. I'm going for the 0-0.
Whenever we do bets on the show, I always like plan on the bet and then stick to it. Now that I'm in this final position, I'm going to take the value bet. You know what I mean? I'm going to do
The value bet.
based on like what you've already bet. I'm going to play it smart. I'm going to say there are 3 cries. And maybe I can finally win one. I don't win a lot of these
If there are
bets.
2 cries, do we tie?
Yeah, how's that work?
Then we'll have our first tiebreaker ever on GT time.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that'll be cool. Last week's bet, or I guess this was the week before last week. Oh, sorry, we got to lock those bets in.
Man, I hope they have a sound effects library.
The new place?
They do.
That's right. We're going to have to find a whole
Again,
new,
questions. Oh, yeah, no, of course.
a whole new lock in the bet. Last week's bet was throughout the press conferences what the longest trailer would be. And then we received bonus points if we guessed which trailer that is, which game that is. Everyone but me said it would be Metal Gear Solid 5 would be the longest trailer. That was not the longest trailer.
What did you pick, Kyle?
And I picked... My bet was The Last Guardian.
So you don't win.
All right.
Yeah.
Just wanna make
Okay.
sure. None of us won.
Metal Gear Solid 5 was... No, you can still... Somebody still won, just nobody gets those bonus points.
Oh, okay.
The longest trailer was Destiny at the beginning of
Oh,
PlayStation's
totally.
press conference.
Oh, it was a huge trailer. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
right. Didn't even think about that.
That was 4 minutes and 18 seconds long,
That was not long.
which means
Wait.
that the winner of the bet is Michael Damiani.
Whoa.
Wait, that was longer than Metal Gear's?
It was
the
longer than Metal
extended
Gear.
one?
No, the extended one wasn't in a press
Oh,
conference.
those trolls.
Yeah.
'Cause that one was longer.
Yeah. So you won the bet, though. What are you complaining about?
Because I'm upset that Metal Gear didn't win. It just feels like a hollow victory.
Wow.
Well, Destiny was a hollow trailer, so.
What was Mike's bet?
Oh, ouch.
What was his actual bet?
Oh, his bet, I should say, was 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
Okay.
And that was the shortest amount of time anyone bet, actually.
All right. So I get
So
to do
as
this
winner of the
after.
bet, you get to
close it.
plug any video.
So here's my question: sorry, this might need to be edited.
Okay.
Are we going to be back next week or not?
That's a fantastic question.
Yes,
we don't know.
Oh, okay, so
I'm going to
that-
try. I'll try to make it happen, of course.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's all I need.
We'll try.
Yeah.
Okay, so once again, everyone, thanks for watching us. We might be back next week, where we're trying to make that happen. But just follow us on Twitter. Here are our Twitter handles. One of us will give you updates on when that will be happening. But we will. Kyle has said we will try and make that happen. Go watch our E3 coverage if you didn't watch it. Support the guys who really busted their ass off during that week, knowing this stuff was going on. So they,
Lots of hands-on
lots of
demos.
good stuff. And you can watch the conclusion to the Buttons saga if you did not see that. And everyone make fun of me for saying Buttons with a D.
Like Joe Budden.
Button.
Yep.
Button. There you go. As always, everyone, thank you again, and we will see you next time.
One of our best closes I think the show's ever had.
I love the Xbox.